안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to Friday's edition of The Culture Wave. I'm Kwon So-ah in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects, and today with a focus on K-entertainment, K-classical music, and K-sports. Now, Friday means we have our co-host Bella Kim joining me in the studio. Hello, Bella.
Hi, So-ah. Happy Friday, So-ah.
Happy Friday.
And happy Friday to everyone joining us today on The Culture Wave. I'm Bella, here to co-host and fill you guys in with some exciting K-entertainment news.
And I'm also happy to introduce our news features reporter, Ian-Lee, in the studio with us. Hello, Ian-Lee. It's been a while.
Ian-Lee.
Hello, So-ah. Hello, Bella. Nice to see you. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Arirang's news features reporter, Ian-Lee.
So, Inni, I heard you have a story on the new wave of South Korea's classical music scene. So, what is it about?
Yes, so over in Los Angeles, the week-long Seoul Festival took place at Walt Disney Concert Hall, presented by the prestigious Los Angeles Philharmonic, and it was presented. It was curated and directed by South Korean composer Chin Un-suk. And the event marked a milestone because it was the first time that the LA Phil dedicated an entire week to a single country. Let's take a look.
Perhaps it's the dawn of a new era in K-classical music. A new generation of composers is making its mark, not just in Korea, but on the world's most prestigious stages. Recognized as one of the world's outstanding orchestras, the Los Angeles Philharmonic presented a week-long Seoul Festival at the Walt Disney Concert Hall from June 3rd. This is the first time the orchestra has dedicated an entire week of performances to a single country. The entire program, featuring concerts that highlight rising Korean performers, was curated and directed by South Korean composer Chin Un-suk. She's a Siemens Prize winner, often called the Nobel Prize of Music, and currently serves as the artistic director of South Korea's Tongyeong International Music Festival.
The opening concert at Disney Hall played to a near full house and received an overwhelmingly positive response. The orchestra concerts that followed also received great applause and strong support from the audience.
The Seoul Festival included a collaboration between South Korea's Tongyeong International Music Festival Ensemble and the LA Phil New Music Group, under the theme New Voices from Korea. South Korea's young composers, including Lee Sung-hyun, a prize winner at the Geneva International Music Competition, premiered works, all conducted by rising talent Yoon Han-gyul, the winner of the Harvard von Karajan Young Conductors Award at the 2023 Salzburg Festival. A university lecturer in composition notes that while Korean composers once felt the need to emphasize Koreanness to appeal globally, they now naturally carry that identity and are expressing themselves in more universal musical languages that resonate internationally.
Korean performances have already shown their talent through many international competitions, and now it seems natural that the spotlight is extending to Korean composers as well. They bring unique ideas, creative materials, and fascinating sound worlds that resonate with classical audiences worldwide. In the past, Korean composers had fewer chances to be heard, but the global rise of Korean culture is now inviting the world to discover the depth and originality of their music.
Evenings highlighting Korean composers and artists who are shaping musical culture and building connections from Seoul to Los Angeles have shown just how strong Korea's classical music scene is.
I love working with young Korean musicians, so I had high hopes for this festival, and it went beyond my expectations. Every performance was world-class.
After Chin Un-suk, the future of Korean classical music holds exciting promise.
Wow, it's very truly moving to think of how these young Korean voices and sounds resonated all the way in Los Angeles, and especially at this prestigious stage, the LA Philharmonic.
Definitely. And LA Philharmonic is not only, America's top orchestra, but worldwide it's very known and renowned as an artistic innovation and leadership as well. So, Uni, how meaningful is this collaboration?
So for Korean artists, especially emerging talent, to be featured in such a space isn't just a performance opportunity, it's actually a powerful validation of their artistic relevance on the world stage. So the program director composer Chin Un-suk explained that the festival was originally planned for 2019, but due to the pandemic, it was postponed.
I see. So it looks like composer Chin is really committed to supporting and encouraging the next generation musicians, doesn't she?
Definitely. During my interview with her, I had so many questions for the composer, but due to limited time, she really just focused mainly on how impressed she was with the young Korean musicians at the festival. She is a dedicated mentor committed to nurturing young talent and creating new performance opportunities. Her work at the Tongyang International Music Foundation in Korea reflects that commitment. She also shared that the highly acclaimed South Korean chamber music ensemble Novus Quartet's final concert was cancelled last minute due to the conditions in LA, but discussions are ongoing to reschedule the performance with the LA Phil.
Looking forward to how these young Korean classical musicians will be shaping the world of K-music and beyond. Well, thank you very much, Inni, for sharing.
Thank you, Inni.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Time for some K-entertainment news with Bella Kim. Bella, this week we can basically call it the BTS week.
Right.
We had 4 members being discharged from military, and today they're celebrating something big.
Right. BTS celebrate their 12th anniversary of debut today, which is June 13th. Congratulations to the members and also the fans. So to commemorate their anniversary, the 2025 BTS FESTA is being held at Kintex Exhibition Center in Goyang on Friday and Saturday local time. Fans can immerse themselves in interactive zones such as the Voice Zone featuring members' voice messages and the Trophy Zone showcasing some of BTS's most iconic awards. In addition, a signature light show synchronized with the Army Bomb light stick will take place every hour on the hour starting at noon. The 2025 BTS FESTA is free to attend and it will run from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on both days. And the festival will go on until tomorrow. So if you're an ARMY in the area, make sure to check it out.
Well, it's great to have almost all members out of the Army now to celebrate with their Army and not inside the Army.
Right.
But Bella, there's another thing to celebrate and to check out, which is a new single by one of the members.
Yes, J-Hope released his digital single, Killing It Girl, just before our show today. This release marks the end of his solo single project after Sweet Dreams and Mona Lisa, both released in March. Killing It Girl is a hip-hop genre song that captures the thrill of falling in love at first sight, and J-Hope participated in making this single just like he did with his last single, Mona Lisa. And adding to the excitement is the collaboration with American rapper Glorilla, she features in this new single. J-Hope will perform Killing It Girl for the very first time at the final performances of his solo world tour, J-Hope Tour Hope on the Stage final at Goyang Stadium tonight and tomorrow.
So the BTS FESTA and J-Hope's concert, I can imagine that Goyang will be filled in purple with all the armies. And we're gonna now end up with some upcoming drama.
That's right. The crime thriller Hunter with the Scalpel held a press conference on Thursday in Ramada Sindorim Hotel in Seoul. Actors Park Joo-hyun, Park Yong-woo, Kang Hoon, and director Lee Jung-hoon attended the conference. Based on the novel of the same name, the new series follows the story of a forensic scientist, Se-hyun, discovering the familiar murder methods of her father, who is a serial killer known as the Tailor, who she thought died 20 years ago, and she embarks on a race against time to catch her father before police do. The main actress Park Joo-hyun said at the press conference that as soon as she read the script, she thought that it's a genre that she has never encountered in Korea before. And each episode of Hunter with the Scalpel will be a 30-minute mid-form with a total of 16 episodes. And it is set to be released on U+ TV, U+ Mobile TV, and Disney+ starting on June 16th.
Very thrilled about this new series.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Bella, for killing it, girl. And stick around.
Yes, will do.
And now let's go over to our AI anchor, Ari, for other culture-related news. Ari, take it away.
Hello and welcome to your AI guide to the latest cultural updates from Korea. Here's our top story. Ulsan is ramping up efforts to position itself as the world's leading hub for Gungdo, or Korean traditional archery. The city adopted the Republic of Korea Ulsan Declaration at a ceremony on Thursday. Attended by more than 200 archery officials and dignitaries from Korea and abroad. The declaration outlines 5 key initiatives aimed at the sustainable development and global promotion of Gungdo. Among them are the establishment of a World Kungdo Federation and the launch of a World Kungdo Center headquartered in Ulsan, home to the Pangude petroglyphs depicting prehistoric hunting and archery. Ulsan has long been regarded as the birthplace of Korean archery. Anticipation is high for the upcoming Seoul International Book Fair 2025, with all tickets completely sold out ahead of next week's opening. As a result, no on-site ticket purchases will be available. But admission remains open and free for preschool children, people with disabilities, and visitors aged 65 and older. The fair will take place from June 18th to 22nd at COEX in Seoul, bringing together over 530 publishers and publishing organizations from 17 countries. The Seoul International Book Fair continues to grow in popularity, drawing a record-breaking 150,000 visitors last year. A pioneer of Korean contemporary art, Lee Gang-suk is presenting his first solo exhibition in Seoul since signing an exclusive contract with the prestigious international gallery Thaddeus Ropac. The exhibition showcases over 20 works spanning installation, painting, sculpture, and prints, titled Dwelling in Mist and Glow. The artworks reflect Lee's belief that art is a dynamic force, continuously evolving in harmony with the world's changing flow. It runs through August 2nd at Thaddeus Ropac Seoul, located in Itaewon. That's all from me. Stay tuned to the Culture Wave.
Now time for the latest in the world of K-sports. From wonderful news for Korea's national football team and fans alike to baseball updates. We are joined by our sportscaster Jason Lee in the studio, who will bring us all the highlights. Hello, Jason.
Hi, hello, Jason. Hi, Bella.
Looking good in purple like always. Although we did have a kind of BTS theme today.
I know.
There we go.
But we're going to talk about sports, of course. And in the past week, I think the biggest news was, of course, how the national football team has qualified for the next World Cup. So tell us about the not only one but two wins by Korea.
That's right. Korea beat Iraq 2-0 last weekend, and then on Tuesday they defeated Kuwait 4-0. And Tuesday night in Seoul, that was the last win against Iraq. The game in Iraq was actually all Korea needed to qualify. So that does mean that Korea indeed does qualify for their 11th straight World Cup. And by the way, that dates back to 1986. 11 consecutive. The only countries to have had played in more consecutive World Cups would be Brazil, Germany, Spain, Italy, and Argentina. What do those countries have in common? All of them have won the World Cup. In actuality, if you just exclude Spain, all of those countries have won the World Cup at least 3 times. So Korea certainly with some very good company in having a streak that long.
Wow. It's about time that Korea wins the World Cup.
I think so.
You never know.
Yeah, we
maybe
made it to the semifinals
Right.
once, so yeah, maybe next year.
But remember how we have been talking about the what-ifs when we talked about the qualifiers? What if Korea draws, or what if Korea even loses one of the games? And I remember you saying, Jason, that we would still, in most cases, make it to the World Cup. Yeah. But the best of best happened. We won in both of the qualifiers, the final qualifiers. So.
Absolutely. And because they won both, by the way, an important factor with that is that they won their group in the qualifying group. So what happens is when they have the eventual draw for the World Cup, they'll have a higher seed.
Right.
So it's more likeliness that they'll have easier competition on their path once they reach the World Cup. So that's some good news as well.
Yes,
Happy to hear that.
Can't wait for next year. And because Korea qualified in the last game, which is not the last week's game in Iraq, the Tuesday's game, the coach Hong Myung-bo kind of used, young players or less experienced players. So who stood out to you the most, Jason, in that match?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this was another bright fact was that Hong Myung-bo was able to get experience for some of his younger players. I thought by far the best player for Korea was clearly Lee Gang-in, but we kind of already know all about Lee Gang-in playing for PSG, perhaps transferring to Arsenal next summer. We'll have to see if that happens. But you know, he was clearly a different player with the ball. His ability to make plays just really set him apart with all the players on the field. In terms of young players that hadn't seen as much attention for the national team, I thought Chun Jin-woo of Jeonbuk stood out. He was playing down the right side. He played as a sub against Iraq and then started against Kuwait. And I think you could really see him look a lot more comfortable in the latter game, although he did contribute a nice assist in the game against Iraq as well. Another player that I would say caught my attention was Bae Jun-ho of Stoke City. He's only 21 years old, but his passing ability is already absolutely amazing. I think he's going to be a future talent for Korea to look out for. He was playing in just his 7th and 8th national team games, while Chun Jin-woo was actually making his debut. He played his 1st and 2nd caps with the senior squad. So I think both of them certainly made names for themselves and certainly caught the attention of Hong Myung-bo, I'm sure, as well.
Chun Jin-woo and Bae Jin-ho.
Bae Jun-ho.
Bae Jun-ho.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure to keep note of that because every time when our expert talks about names that are not that familiar to maybe the whole public, that's when you have to keep note of that and then look what happens in the future. But Jason, there's basically a year left now until the World Cup. But what's going to happen for the national team from now until then? I think there is more events coming up.
Actually, very, very soon. Korea will actually host the E1 Football Championship for the East Asian Football Federation. That's next month in Yongin. So it's a 4-country tournament. It's going to feature Korea, China, Japan, and Hong Kong. That will take place from the 7th to the 15th of July. This is the 10th iteration of the event, and typically Korea hasn't really fielded their A team for this tournament in past, but head coach Hong Myung-bo is planning to use this as an early stages of the preparation for the World Cup next year. So I think we can expect to see Korea fielding probably similar lineup to what he was using against Kuwait on Tuesday night.
Okay, looking forward to that as well. Now we're going to switch over to baseball now. We've got some very legendary MLB players currently in Korea for a good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, both Hall of Famer Adrian Beltre and former World Series MVP Cole Hamels are in Korea right now to offer some advice to the SSG Landers Futures League players. Now, you might wonder, well, why are these guys here helping out the Futures League, which is, of course, the minor league for the KBO? And the answer is Chu Shin-soo, who, of course, is a former Major League player himself and a former KBO All-Star with SSG. He's now in charge of the SSG Futures League team. So he has reached out to a pair of his former teammates, as both Beltre and Hamels were teammates of Chu's when he played for the Texas Rangers. So very lucky for some of the younger SSG players, as I'm sure they're going to receive a lot of opportunity to learn from some of the best players that have ever played the game of baseball, and perhaps even more importantly, receiving some inspiration from some of the stories that I'm sure they're going to hear from both of these players.
Wow, what an opportunity.
Yeah.
I know, lucky SSG Futures players. And also, speaking of Chu Shin-soo, who is obviously the legendary Korean baseball player and who is, as you said, is coaching SSG Landers Futures team, we want to also talk about another baseball legend who is Lee Seung-yup, and he is no longer coaching Doosan anymore?
That's right. Kind of sad news, to be honest. I was kind of a little bit heartbroken when I saw this. Certainly a big fan of Lee Seung-yup as a player. He had been the Doosan Bears manager for the past 2+ seasons, and he recently announced that he would be stepping down as manager, as his team clearly has underperformed this season. Doosan is currently in 9th place and have frankly looked awful this season. You know, they made the postseason in each of Lee Seung-yup's first 2 seasons as manager, but it's been telling somewhat as of late that it hasn't been going well. Fans have been more vocal about the team's performance, as they had audibly been more boos and negative noises, let's say, at Chamsil Stadium as of late, especially directed at Lee Seung-yup, which is kind of sad. Like I said, he's been such a big legend in the KBO, he still holds the single-season home run record with 56, and he was ranked 4th on the KBO's all-time greatest players list when they ranked the league's top 40 greatest players of all time for their 40th year anniversary just a couple of seasons ago. So it's sad to see Lee Seung-yup sort of be pushed out this way. It was his first ever managerial job, so maybe managing isn't his thing, but he did take them to the playoffs his first 2 years.
Right. In some cases, although we know that a player is a legendary player, has been really doing great in his or her career, it's another thing to manage or coach. But then in some cases, we have less familiar players who actually shine more once they start to manage a team. So you never know, and there are many circumstances. So as you said, it is sad news, but we should never forget about his entire career, right?
Absolutely. And I think the key thing here is that his legacy as a player not be ruined. And like you mentioned, so often, you know, players are great and so talented and gifted, but maybe they're not as great at teaching that to other, you know, younger students of the game, because it's like, why can't you do that? It was so easy for me when I was a player. And sometimes they can't relate with, you know, the player that isn't quite as physically gifted as they were. But again, you know, Lee Seung-yup, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, a Samsung Lions legend. And maybe that was part of the thing as well. Maybe if he was managing for the Samsung Lions, where he is such a legend, maybe he gets a little more leeway with the fans. But as a manager of Tucson, you know, one of the rivals back in those days, maybe they weren't so happy to see their team not being led to the playoffs under his tutelage.
Right. There could be many different reasons for how it turned out. But and more on a KBO note, there's going to be a big showdown of the current top teams in the league this weekend as the LG Twins visit the Hanwha Eagles in Daejeon. So yes, that's going to be a big series. How do you predict this weekend to be?
Yeah, you know, and that sounds weird to say, you know, the top 2 teams. I mean, LG, nothing unusual about that, but Hanwha Eagles, one of the top 2 teams. I mean, LG, the champs from 2 years ago, but Hanwha's, they've been the league's perennial doormats for the last decade and a half. So, you know, they've turned things around this season. Hanwha is currently just a half game behind the LG Twins atop the standings. So we've got the top 2 teams meeting for a weekend series Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Daejeon. By the way, they got a brand new stadium down there. So if you're near Daejeon at all, this weekend, go down, check out the new stadium, and check out this huge matchup against the LG Twins. In third place right now is the Lotte Giants. They are 3 games behind Daejeon, but you know, 5 games behind Lotte goes all the way down to 8th place NC. So it's a big group of teams between 3rd and 8th, with essentially LG and Hanwha just at the top. So, you know, if one team sweeps the other, then they could really open up a good lead at the top of the standing and perhaps even send the 2nd place team down to the next tier of 6 or 7 teams that are vying for 3rd place. So a very important series this weekend in Daejeon. I look forward to seeing what happens.
I mean, have you actually expected this to happen, that Hanwha could actually be this good this season?
They've been kind of knocking on the door for a while. Like, they've been, because they've been bad for so long, they've had a lot of young players. No Shi-won in particular has been a young third baseman that won the home run title a couple of years ago, and he's been right up there as a top bat. Of course, they got Roo Hyun-jin back from Major League Baseball as he's kind of giving the local fans something at the twilight of his career. And then Cody Ponce, you know, one thing that Hanwha really hasn't had is the top or one of the top foreign players. And Cody Ponce this year has really been supplying Hanwha with good foreign level play. And I think, you know, you put that recipe all together and Hanwha's finally sort of putting it all together. The question becomes, can they maintain this for the full season, not just up until the All-Star break?
Well, looking forward to this weekend. And let's hope it's not going to be raining too much. Because I think there's a little bit of rain in the forecast.
That's right. Hopefully not in Daejeon.
No, hopefully not. All right, thank you very much, Jason, for providing us with everything we have to know about the world of K-Sports, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
And thank you, Bella, as always. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back next week.
Yes, I'll see you back next week.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back next week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Korea time.